All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Valley News Now, the special digital report as we await the start of a press conference with the Fargo Police Department regarding what they're confirming now, a homicide investigation from a Monday night shooting in Fargo. Let's take a live look right now at this press conference. This is a feed from our reporter on scene, Harrison Prey. Again, we're awaiting the actual start of the press conference, so stay tuned there. Of course, as soon as anything starts to pick up here, we will take you to this full live feed. Let's go over what we know so far. We do know that one person was killed, according to Fargo police, in this shooting on Monday night. Reports of shooting around 9:30 p.m. at an apartment complex in the 2700 block of 41st Street South. Upon arriving at the scene, officers found an adult male victim with an apparent gunshot wound. The victim was taken to a local hospital. He was pronounced dead at 10:15 p.m. That's all according to Fargo police. That's the information we know so far. Of course, looking to confirm more in this press conference coming up here in just a few minutes. It looks like people are starting to set up as we get ready to learn more about yet another violent incident that happened within city limits here in just the span of a few months. Fargo police investigating this fatal shooting. They believe the victim and the suspect did know each other. They have not released any further details regarding the suspect or the victim in the shooting, but according to unconfirmed scanner traffic, the suspect was a black male and was wearing a black shirt and gray sweatpants. Again, that's all unconfirmed scanner traffic. That's what we had breaking as this happened last night. Detectives and investigators were on scene early into Tuesday morning, gathering evidence, interviewing witnesses, and again, we're awaiting to hear more information on this. I do have the Facebook Live open, so if you have any questions that you may have that we can answer, we'll go ahead and address those, but until then, we're just going to have to wait for Fargo Police before we learn more about this. And we're, of course, going to recap what we learned in this press conference for any of you that may miss the full live stream. If you do, of course, this is going to be posted on our Valley News Now digital channels. So be sure to stay tuned. We're going to keep you updated as this situation, I should say, continues to develop. Now, for those of you that may just be joining the Facebook Live, again, we are waiting on or wherever you're watching this live stream, whether it be your smart TV, our YouTube channel, wherever you're watching it, if you're just joining us, we'll go ahead and get you updated on where we're at so far. We're awaiting the start of a press conference with the Fargo Police Department for an update on a homicide investigation from a shooting that happened on Monday night. Now, according to Fargo Police, officers responded around 9:30 p.m. last night, Monday, October 27th, for reports of a shooting at an apartment complex in the 2700 block of 41st Street South. When they arrived on scene, they found an adult male victim with an apparent gunshot wound. The victim was taken to a local hospital. He was pronounced dead around 10:15 p.m. They're investigating this shooting, but they do believe the victim and the suspect knew each other. Those are all the details we know about this one right now. We're continuing to await the start of this press conference here. We've seen some movement in and around the podium, so it looks like things may be getting started soon. It was scheduled to start at 11, and we have hit that time, so it could be any second now. But yeah, once again, if anyone has any questions, I do have this Facebook Live open, so be sure to drop those questions if you do have them, and if we can address them, then I will for you. But we're, of course, going to have all the information from Fargo Police live as it becomes available right here on our Valley News Now digital networks. Until then, though, we're going to go ahead and recap one more time just kind of exactly what we're waiting information for here. A homicide investigation for a shooting in South Fargo in the 2700 block of 41st Street South, an apartment complex in there. They found an adult male victim with a gunshot wound. That victim was taken to a local hospital, and he was pronounced dead around 10:15 p.m. last night. That's all the information we've been able to verify at this point. We're going to continue waiting here for the start of this press conference. Like I said, 11 o'clock start, and it's 11:01, so we're not running crazy late, but we'll see what information we get from this. Of course, this has become, this is the first press conference we've had for an investigation of this kind in quite some time, actually. It's been a few months. Oh, Chief Dave Zabolski's taking the podium. We're going to go ahead and take you live to this now.
Thanks for your attendance. We wanted to update the community on a homicide from last night. That's another true tragedy in our community. We have a 28-year-old individual, Nadine Corey, who is now deceased as a result of gunshot injuries. He leaves behind a pregnant wife, mother, sisters, and other family members. And I'm going to have Captain Christensen walk you through the investigative information that we can release at this time. But this particular instance is but another example of very aggressive behavior that starts with words and ends in gunfire, completely reckless conduct that is not only unnecessary and inappropriate, but not acceptable in our Fargo community. Our team here will be working all angles to identify and apprehend individual or individuals responsible and try to bring justice to the family in this matter. So I'm going to turn it over to Captain Christensen. We're happy to take any questions at the end. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Good morning, everyone. As the Chief mentioned, my name is Captain Matt Christensen. I currently oversee our Criminal Investigations Division. So kind of what I'll do is kind of give you a rundown of where we're at right now. I'm going to give you a little bit of the statement they've already sent out with some additional information. So at approximately 9:27 p.m. on Monday, October 27th, Fargo police officers responded to a report of a shooting in an apartment complex in the 2700 block of 41st Street South. Upon arrival, officers located an adult male victim who had an apparent gunshot wound in one of the building stairwells. A bystander was providing aid to the victim, and officers took over life-saving measures when they arrived on scene. Other responding officers were able to deem the scene safe, clearing the building and the surrounding area to make sure there weren't any other victims or potential suspects. Once that was done, the fire department and ambulance crews came in to take over the life-saving measures. The individual was then transported to a local medical facility where he was unfortunately pronounced deceased at 10:15 p.m. last night. We got initial information from a witness stating they believe the suspect to be a black male wearing a black shirt with gray sweatpants, which was given to the officers. The Fargo Police Department's Criminal Investigation Division is actively investigating this incident. We're working through a lot of information currently to try to sort out exactly what transpired, who was involved, and why this happened. Preliminary information suggests that the victim and the suspect were known to each other. Information also suggests that this incident is likely related to the shots fired incident from this past weekend in the 4800 block of 38th Street South. As I mentioned, officers responding to the scene worked to immediately provide life-saving measures while also securing the crime scene and sweeping the building and surrounding areas to identify any other victims or suspects. Once the area was secure, members from the Criminal Investigations Division were contacted and responded to the scene, to include members from our Adult Violent Crimes Unit, Metro Street Crimes Unit, and our Intel and Analysis Unit. Currently, we're looking at video from the area, following up on several leads, and trying to identify potential witnesses to speak to. But we would also ask the public to let us know if they have any information or video that would help with our investigation. Anyone with information related to this incident is encouraged to contact our department at 701-241-5777. And anonymous tips can be submitted by texting keyword Fargo PD and the tip to 847411. The Fargo Police Department is committed to keeping the public informed of any safety concerns while preserving the integrity of the ongoing investigation. Like I said, this is still a very fresh investigation. I've been getting updates throughout the morning, and additional information is being developed very quickly. To answer some likely questions, I can tell you that no firearm was recovered from the scene. The victim appears to have sustained several gunshot wounds, but we will not be able to confirm his injuries until an autopsy is completed tomorrow, which one of our detectives will also be present for. We did recover some firearm casings from the area near the victim, which will be run through our NIBIN machine to see if they correlate with any weapons or other cases through the ATF NIBIN database. We have identified several individuals who may be involved in this incident, as well as the incident from this weekend. However, I'm not in a position to provide those names at this time. We're still investigating the evidence we have and continue to gather to try and narrow down who may be witnesses, who might be suspects, and then who might not be involved at all. As I mentioned, we're talking to associates of the victim and witnesses to try and assist us in piecing that all together. And as we work through the investigation, if we're able to develop probable cause for an arrest, we'll provide that information to the public as soon as we can. I want to reiterate that this does not appear that this was a random act of violence between strangers, but appears to be related to some type of ongoing feud between the parties involved based on the information we have received at this point. We will continue to work diligently to investigate this case with the goal of identifying and apprehending the shooter in a timely manner. Our detectives will also work to ensure all evidence is collected, reviewed, and a complete and thorough investigation is completed for submission to the Cass County State's Attorney. On a final note, I just wanted to cover that we also dealt with another unfortunate incident last night involving a house fire with a completed suicide in the 400 block of 21st Street South. Officers responded and located a male who had what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound while the fire department extinguished the fire. It is believed the victim is the one that started the fire based on our investigation, and that incident does not have any relation to the homicide from last night. With that, we'd open it up to any questions you guys might have.
Are you able to say how y'all were able to make the connection between the shots fired incident and this case?
Based on the investigation and talking to people that are associated with the victim, basically, at this point.
Was the victim involved in that earlier shooting that you referenced? Are you able to say that?
We believe that he was present for that. His involvement is still being investigated.
Gotcha. We also had were told by a witness at the scene that night that there was a baby shower happening nearby. Was that incident involved at all, or is that just something that was happening?
We're still working through that. I can confirm there was some type of baby shower, gender reveal type thing going on. We're just trying to figure out who all was involved in that and if that was related to the shots fired incident.
Given that this happened in a residential area and you're at an apartment complex, how do you feel, what's your message to the residents of that area who may feel unsafe right now?
Oh, my message is always make sure that you have good situational awareness of things that are going on around you. We always tell people to be good witnesses for us if they see things that go on, to make sure that they call us right away so that we can investigate that. And like we tell people all the time, if they feel unsafe or there's something going on that makes them feel unsafe, to call us so that we can get over there and help investigate what's going on.
Did the victim live in that apartment complex? Was that his home?
I do not believe he lived there, no.
Okay. Well, last question. What's the timeline for a NIBIN analysis? Like, how long does that typically take for bullet casings to be run through and to find out?
Yeah, so we try to get our casings in within 48 hours of receiving them. And then from there, the timeline is how long it takes to get back kind of depends on what those hit on. So that can vary, but usually it's pretty quick turnaround.
So in cases like where individuals are disputing within feuds, earlier this year during the summer, there was some feud going on between a group of individuals in the downtown area. How do you distinguish of dealing with these kinds of situations where these groups of individuals are going through feuds, and it's been more than like one case where the police have been called because of these feuds happening?
Yeah, well, I can tell you it's difficult for us because historically the people involved don't really want to talk to the police. So it can be very difficult for our detectives and officers when they respond to those to try to figure out exactly what happened. Because sometimes in cases like this, which potentially could be the issue here, is they try to work those things out themselves without police involvement, which we obviously would not condone. But it can be difficult for us to find people that are willing to speak to us about what happened, either because they're in fear of what the people involved might do to them if they talk to the police, but also because it's just not something that they want to do and they want to work it out amongst their groups, and that can lead to issues like this.
You mentioned that, this was part of some sort of ongoing dispute, and it sounds like, too, there's potential that multiple people could be involved. I guess I'm curious, is there any sort of public safety risk, especially in terms of, could retaliation be a possibility, especially if it involves multiple individuals?
Yeah, that's always certainly a possibility if there's going to be retaliation. As far as the public safety risk, like I said earlier, this isn't a random act where they just attack some person they didn't know. These people know each other. That doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't a risk to public safety, depending on where they decide to handle these types of incidents, if they're going to use violence. But like I said, that anytime people see something that looks unsafe or seems suspicious, they need to call us right away. And we would certainly encourage anybody involved in this incident to come forward and let us know so that we can try to get in front of that and mitigate those types of issues, because that's all information that we need. However, if somebody was involved, we only have the side of the story based on the evidence that we've collected and the witnesses. So if people were involved and we need their side of the story, they need to come forward and contact us.
I know some of the violence we saw last August was also, dispute between individuals. Is there any connection between what happened Friday and last night and those incidents from last August?
Yeah, based on the investigation now, they do not appear to be related.
The victim's name, could you say that again and spell that for us?
I don't have the spelling in front of me. Do you have it, Chief? All right, first name Nadine, Nadin. Last name Curry, Khoury.
And then also, given that this happened in a residential area, an apartment complex, is there any surveillance video that you guys were able to pull up and be able to use in part of this investigation?
That's all part of the investigation that we're trying to identify where that video would be, if there is any.
And then I think you also mentioned that there are suspects involved, plural. How many suspects?
Well, right now we don't have any suspects. We have people that were people of interest that we would call them. We're trying to develop the investigation. Like I said, it's still very, very new, very fresh, and we're trying to work through all that information to hopefully identify a suspect, which would mean that we would have probable cause to arrest them. So we're just working through all the people that could potentially be involved and try to identify who's a witness, who might be a suspect, and if some maybe aren't involved at all, based off of interviews with his associates and people that were witnesses of the incident.
Sorry, I'm greedy. We're referring to groups of people. I think some members of the public sometimes hear that and they wonder, a different word for group might be gang. Is this gang activity? And do you think there's a distinction between referring to a group of individuals or a gang?
Yeah, so based on the investigation, there's nothing that would indicate this is gang related. A group and a gang are two very different things. We all have group of friends and stuff like that. To be considered a gang, you have to meet some very specific criteria. So as of right now, there isn't anything that would indicate this is gang related.
At the beginning, when you guys said aggressive words that ends in gunfire, are you able to say specifically, do you know what they were arguing about?
I guess I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Let me just touch on that a minute. So, no, we can't say specifically, but just to kind of put a finer point on some of these other questions, this homicide and the homicides from August 3rd were all preventable if people in our community had the regulation and emotional intelligence not to result to firearms to solve their disputes. And so all of our information and all of these incidents really turns to some kind of beef, some kind of conflict. Words escalate into the use of firearms, and that is not acceptable in our society. And so we should be sitting here with nobody dead right now. But again, last night we have someone who is now deceased, leaving a family behind because someone else thought that the final answer was the result of firearms and fatally wound someone. And we really need that recognition in our community. Most people get this. But if someone out there feels that there's some feud or something going on that's going to escalate in the same fashion, as Captain Christensen said, we encourage them to call us so that we can try and intervene in that. Even that shots fired incident from a few days ago, we were already working on that case when this happened, but we just didn't get any information quick enough to get in front of that. And so we certainly want to, but we need people to work with us on that and recognize that firearms is not the answer to your conflicts.
And then you also mentioned that the victim and the suspect were known to each other. Can you describe the nature of their relationship?
I can't confirm what it is. We're just trying to work through that, but we know that they were definitely associated in some way. Anything else? All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
All right, there we have it there, the latest from Fargo PD on this homicide investigation. We're going to go over the details that we got. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, this is related to Monday night's shots fired incident, a homicide investigation for that incident. We got some pretty good details from Fargo Police, a little bit more of a picture of what exactly happened last night that left one person dead. We do know the identity of the victim, now identified as 28-year-old Nadine Curry, leaves behind a pregnant wife, according to Chief Dave Zabolski. They also confirmed that this was related to a shots fired incident from over the weekend. They believe that the victim was also present for that. And this is our report from Friday Friday night. Fargo Police investigating a shots fired incident that occurred Friday night in the southern part of the city. We did get a statement on it yesterday, too. Fargo Police Department's Criminal Investigations Division is following up on tips and reviewing evidence for that. Again, though, this seemed to have escalated to this shots fired incident from last night. Chief Dave Zabolski saying that, beginning the press conference by saying that this started as words and ended with gunfire, a conflict and words between others that escalated to somebody being shot. They also confirmed that it's not believed to be gang related. For something to be qualified as gang related, they confirmed that it needs to meet very specific criteria. This does not meet that from the Fargo Police Department. Again, the victim and the suspect in this case did know each other. They believe that there was a disagreement that escalated to gunfire, which led to the death of 28-year-old Nadine Curry. Victim was found in the stairwell with gunshot wounds. Police cleared the building and the surrounding area. Ambulance crews then came in for life-saving measures, but the victim did pass away at 10:15 last night. The suspect was described by witnesses on the scene to Fargo Police as a black male wearing a black shirt and black sweatpants. And they, like I mentioned earlier, they do believe that this was related to the weekend shots fired incident that we also reported on here on Valley News Live. Officers are now looking over video of the area, looking for witnesses to speak to, asking the public for any info. If you have any, please reach out to the Fargo Police Department. At this point, some more notes on the investigation that we just got from this press release from Fargo PD. No firearm recovered from the scene at this point. Autopsy is going to be completed tomorrow, but we do know that the victim suffered several gunshot wounds, potentially several individuals involved at this, but again, the shooter still at large as this investigation continues. They're narrowing down who the suspects may be. They're narrowing down any witnesses in this investigation as well. They also wanted to stress that they don't believe this was a random act of violence. Again, the victim and suspect knew each other. They seem to be involved in a Friday night shots fired incident as well, now continuing to escalate into what led to a gunshot wound and a dead victim on Monday night. They do not believe the victim lived in the apartment complex, and these do not appear to be related to the shootings that we had back in August. Those shootings, confirmed by Dave Zabolski, also started by disagreements that started with words and ended with gunfire. Any other questions? I'm checking the Facebook live feed so you can give us your live questions as they come in. Anything else I can address, give this a couple seconds here, but otherwise we're going to go ahead and wrap up this special digital report. Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Valley News Now. Again, we're going to have more coverage on this throughout the day, of course, on our web streams, on the air at 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. We're going to have you covered all throughout the day. And of course, we're going to have you covered 24/7 here on our digital networks. Be sure to download the Valley News Live app. Check out our live streaming apps on your smart TV, and of course, our website, valleynewslive.com. That's all we have right now for this Valley News Now digital update. But for now, I'm Devin Fry.